So if you're anything like me, at the beginning of the year, you set goals that you wanted to achieve. You probably made a vision board as well. And now we are in June. And quite frankly, actually, it's the end of June. I want to do a mid-year check-in of my goals. So let's do one while I get ready. Actually, I don't know where we're going, but I'm prepping my skin to get ready to go for a walk of some sort because it's the very first warm, like actually warm weekend in Seattle. So I wrote down all my goals this year in my Young and Thriving planner, and I used the framework that we put together to just like write my goals down. And I set goals in I think 6 different areas. It was physical health and nutrition, career and business, wealth and abundance, love and relationships, purpose and self-love, and then spiritual health and mental fortitude. Okay, that's a lot. So what I want to do is go through each section of these and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, how I feel I was doing, and go through some of the wins and where I can do better in each of these sections. If you did something similar, this is kind of like a great point where you can do it as well. All right, let's get started first with my personal mission statement, or like the values, because for the Young and Thriving framework, what we do is reconnect to our values at the beginning of the year so that you set your vision board or your goals in alignment with who you actually are. So who you are at your core, which is what you value. The 3 values that I kept coming back to was having a positive impact, innovation and creativity, and execution and being an action taker. I wanted to make sure that these 3 things were interwoven in everything that I was doing this year. So when I look back at the year, and as I'm looking now, this is how I'm measuring myself to make sure that these 3 things were coming through in each of them. Let's do the makeup and go through these goals. First up is physical health and nutrition. So I'm using the Maybelline Master Primer, and it has 30 SPF 30. Yeah, so for physical health and nutrition, I wanted to eat a high protein diet, low carbs, no processed foods, do all Olympic lifts at 200 pounds. I run 3 to 5 miles at my comfort pace. Okay, first of all, I don't know what I was thinking for that Olympic lift goal, because I think I'm just at 100 pounds. Like, if I'm being completely honest, which is fine. I've definitely been going consistently, and one of my milestones was to get to 36 classes by March, which I did. I think I'm at like almost 50 classes now, which is cool. The only thing I'm really not so proud of here in my physical health is the fact that I just haven't gotten my diet the way I wanted it to be yet. Like, you know how some people struggle with overeating? I struggle severely with undereating. So I want to, why is it not? Okay, this isn't working, but I'm using the Anastasia Brow Gel. Yes, I struggle with undereating, so I'll be working out consistently, but then not eating to build muscle, or not eating half as much protein so I can build muscle, which doesn't make any sense. So I really want to get better at doing that. So that's something I need to improve on. One thing I'm proud of is the fact that I ran a 5K. Benny and I ran a 5K earlier this year, and I did it in sub 30. It was like 29 minutes something, which is crazy. One, because I wasn't really I'm not a runner. I was like, setting this goal was really ambitious for me. So I'm happy that I was able to do it and knock it out in the first quarter. On to the next one. Overall, for physical health and nutrition, these goals still align with who I am, and I feel like I showed up for myself. I can show up for myself more in how I eat. Like, that's something. So when we check in at the end of the year or in a few months, I'm committing to eating well. If I don't do anything else, I need to eat properly, or just eat more in general. So that's what I'm committing to doing. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll rate my physical health / nutrition aspect a solid like 8. And like I'm doing good. So like a 8.5. Yeah, and I feel good about it. That's kind of the framework I use to go through like my different goals, and I think I'm just gonna speed through a few of these and then go into how I'm actually reorienting to finish the rest of the year off successfully. Because I know some of these goals, and I'll talk about them, some of these goals are like, what the hell were you thinking, girl? They don't feel the same. Like I just don't care about them anymore, or they just don't sound or feel like the Chelsea I'm trying to be, and that's completely fine. And I feel like that's something that we don't necessarily talk about enough either. Guys, I'm using the Bye Bye Foundation Cosmetics. It's like a tinted moisturizer. It's really good. Anyways, yeah, like I feel like we don't talk about the fact that a lot of the goals that we set, sometimes a couple months down the line, it doesn't like align with us anymore. We just don't want them anymore. It's not to say that, you know, you didn't do the work to set them properly in the first place. I just think it's a part of growing, especially while you're young. I'm sure that I'll go through a lot of these moments where things that I thought I wanted, I don't necessarily want, or I want underlining the same thing, but just something in a different way, if that makes sense. Let me see if I can find an example of that. Like for career and business, these two align with me. I set them in 3 different ways, 3 sub goals. So one was like work, how I wanted to do at work, young and thriving, and then for my business and social media, I'd rate this area of my life as a solid 8.5 to like I've been consistently posting, and I feel like my content online aligns with who I actually am and want to be and the type of content I want to put into the world. So I've worked a lot on curating the content and like actually putting thought into it. So I'm very proud of that. With Young and Thriving, we definitely can put a bit more out there, but I feel like we underestimated how just taxing work life would be. So I think we need to reevaluate how we show up and the goals we set for Young and Thriving. Because looking back, we set lofty goals, not giving ourselves like grace and like room to figure out what our lives would look like after college. At work, I just put like work goals, and I set my work goals separately, and it's dependent on what I do and what my team's goals are and how I want to track with that. So I won't go through those obviously, but I'm tracking good. So I'd give this area of my life like a solid 8.2, because nothing fundamentally, I think, for me is changing right now as it relates to work. I know it's gonna change, but I'll get more into that in like the purpose section, because I've mentioned before how I want my work to align with what I think my purpose is, but we'll get into that when we get there. So overall, career and business, a solid 8 out of 10. And now for the last 2, which is purpose and self-love. And this is my mirror that I'm using. So purpose and self-love, this is something I am actively working on, everyone. So I, as the Cancer that I am and the very empathetic person, I'm kidding, I've always been very in tune with like myself. I want the work that I'm doing and things that I'm working towards to be as aligned with what my God-given purpose is. And like I'm hell-bent on finding like, oh, what my thing is. And I know it's not as easy. It's not gonna be, oh, do this, take this test and you'll know exactly what you're meant to do. Like it's not as easy as that, and I have come to terms with that. On the other hand, I know nothing works unless I do. So I'm putting a lot of time and effort into cultivating just like things that I'm interested in. I have had a lot of like re-evaluating done, things that just did not make sense that I thought were gonna make sense, or that I thought I was going to want. I realized that I didn't really want. And what I'm most excited for is figuring out and getting closer to what my thing is, believe it or not. I'm not losing like enthusiasm because I'm young, like I'm literally not even 25 yet. Not to say that people don't have their lives figured out at 25, but I wanted to have this stamped in time so I can go look back on it when I'm a millionaire. Kidding, but not really. As to what I was thinking on June 30th, June 20 something, whatever day this is, about what was happening in my life 1 year after postgrad. Checking in with yourself, like, how do you feel, Chelsea? And going back to my values, have I honestly thought that I've lived in my values so far this year? Making positive impact? Yeah, I'd say so. Putting out my videos, being there when I can for my friends and my community, taking action. I've not taken action as I know I can. Probably being too hard on myself with that, but there's always room for improvement. So that's where I'll say I can improve. And then being creative and innovative, I've definitely done that, and I'm continuing to do that. I feel like last year that wasn't as much the case, but this year I'm definitely leaning a bit more into my creativity and innovative spirit, which I love. So check into your values, and if you don't necessarily know what your values are or you're unclear, I'd suggest grab the Young and Thriving planner and do the exercises that are in the planner. You won't regret it. And just journal. We also have a journal, and I'm gonna be journaling after this. I'm a journal girly. If you do not do anything, make sure you do those 2 things. Check in with yourself on your values and how you feel like regardless of the goals that you've met and not met, how you feel like you're actually acting and performing with regards to those values, and then journaling about your experience so far. If you don't do anything else, do those things. So this is the finished look. Thank you for joining me in doing my mid-year check-in and self-reflection. I hope it was as helpful for you as it was for me. Let me know in the comments below if you end up doing a mid-year check-in and how that goes. So until next time, with love from Chelsea. Bye.